Hello, everybody. Good evening. And today we have a author's chat, which we, as you know, in Kahaani Koncerti's parlance, we call them Kahaani Addas. So today we are going to have an Adda on a book on Kashmir with the author Sanchit Gupta. Now, before I get Sanchit in and we start discussing this book, The Tree with a Thousand Apples, I'd like to tell you something about Kahaani Koncerti. For those of you all who are joining us for the first time, uh, Kahaani Koncerti is a digital platform where we discuss anything in the broad spectrum that falls under the broad spectrum of art and culture, which means books, poetry, translations, uh, movies, cinema, music, performing arts, graphic arts, everything that has got to do with within the core and including popular culture that comes under the overall umbrella of art and culture. So we have a website, and I'd like you to visit our website whenever you have some time and take a look as to see what we are doing there. Uh, as also all these chat shows that we keep on doing for books, particularly authors chat as we call them, and these are there on our website, so that later on, in case you have missed out half of it, or if you want to refer to a chat, you can always go back to it. So we have had anything and everything from discussing Bob Dylan's music to Mahashweta Devi, to paying tributes to Birju Maharaj. So it's a very vast spectrum of issues that we discuss. Now, today's discussion is on this book, The Tree with a Thousand Apples, and the publisher is Yogi Books. So Yogi Books have been one of the foremost. They started in 2004, so they're almost about 20 years now. But within these 20 years, Yogi Books have really gone on to uh, publish, I think, over 500 titles. And if you look at their catalog, it actually reads a bit like a alphabet book, because it starts with A, and that covers anything from adventure to archives to art to autobiography to architecture. And when you go to B, it is anything to do with biography and Buddhism. So they have books on cooking, they have books on sports, they have books on Islamic culture, and it's really a wonderful spread that Yogi actually gives us. The most important factor about Yogi's books is the way they actually the production value. They have a large number of coffee table books, and these coffee table books are absolutely, really, they should be in the library at home. I have personally looked into a lot of these, and therefore, I think, other than, and yes, of course, there are biographies and even autobiographies from General Karyappa to Lata Mangeshkar to Sachin to our Saurav Ganguly. So this is what Yogi actually states about their books. They say that in spite of using the latest technological innovations in production and design, Yogi Books lays great emphasis on human values and human capital. Our mission is fine publishing within reach, is based on our commitment to excellence and our belief in inclusive growth. So that is what Yogi is committed to as far as their publishing business is concerned. And today, as we move on now, having talked to you about Kahaani Koncerti, as also about the Yogi Books, the two partners who are kind of a JV, as I call it. And before I get in Sanchit Gupta, who will be joining us very shortly, we are going to discuss Kashmir. Now, when we are going to discuss, why are we discussing Kashmir? That's the first thing that why has this book come up for author's chat? Well, one reason the book has come up for an author's chat is simply because Kashmir seems to be the flavor of the season. So more so because I don't know whether it is just only Kashmir, but last 2 months we have been talking about the Kashmir Pundits. So, and yes, we are talking about the exodus of Kashmir Pundits. We are talking about Kashmir Files, and suddenly Kashmir seems to be, as I said, the current flavor of the season. So, what really has been happening? There have been autobiographies, memoirs, which have been written by people who have been affected, who in fact have been one of those Kashmir Pandits. The film Kashmir Files running, and there is, of course, this book by Sanchit, which is fiction. He is not a Kashmiri Pandit. He's from Himachal. He's from Solan, as a matter of fact, and he has written this book. It's a fiction work of fiction actually, but obviously he has done a lot of tremendous amount of in-depth research to arrive at the book, to write this book. So, and let me show you this book for a moment. This is the book that we are talking about, which Sanchit Gupta has written, The Tree with Thousand Apples. And you can see these bookmarks that you all over the book, inside the book, is because I have gone through this almost with a fine-tooth comb. And the first thing that it struck me about this book is, I want to read this out to you, is actually the dedication page. And I think it says it all. It says, to the people of Kashmir, those who live there, those who used to live there, and those who will continue to live there. Now, for many of us Indians, and I suppose in the Indian subcontinent, Kashmir has been a kind of a problem which everybody has been trying to grapple with, the political problem. But what is resulting out of those political issues is actually the problem we are having on ground, vis-a-vis this case, we are talking about the exodus of the Pandits, the terrorists, two sects. I am personally very confused. Some people in Kashmir want it to be a part of Pakistan. Others say, no, this is Azad Kashmir. So that means they want an independent country. Kashmir is a part of India. So it's a total mess that has been happening. And I don't think any of us really have a solution. And yeah, Archana, yes, I know we'll be soon starting this conversation. So with this book that is he has written, and I will give you a little gist about this book while we wait for Sanchit to join us, is that it's a story about Sanchit is here. So Sanchit, I can take you on right now. I was just reading out the dedication for the book that you have done, but more importantly, Sanchit, let me introduce you first. Sanchit and I have a kind of a parallel career. We'll give a generation and a half gap in between, but it doesn't really matter. He has been into brand advertising, he has been into copywriting, and he has done a very fancy thing. He has been a client as also an agency guy, so he has been on both sides of the chair. More importantly, he has been writing scripts. He has, I think, produced. You have done some TV production series, Sanchit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have done some TV, and the other thing, he has also done a lot of work for All India Radio, which I have also, where I actually first cut my teeth, Sanchit, and that was something called the Yuvani way back in the actually in 71. So that's why I said there is a year and a half generation gap, but we live with it. And then, but what he has done something more is something that I have never been able to do. He has gone and recited poetry at the Prithvi Theatre.
Yeah.
And though he is from Himachal, from Solan, so when we first had a chat, I said that, okay, so you are Solan number one. The characters, we have a series of these characters, in your book, and they cut across different. There is the Pandit family of Diwan and Ravi, the Bhatts, right?
Yeah.
And we also have Bilal and his the Rehana, the Didi, and there is the brother Tariq. Now they are the Maliks, right? And then you have Safina. No, they are not the Maliks. They are the Ahnagars. And then you have the Safina, the Malik, right? Okay. Now there are two two Muslim families and a Hindu Pandit family. There are three
Yeah.
people characters really. There is Diwan and there is Bilal and there is Safina. They are
Yeah.
the main
Yeah.
protagonists. They carry the story on their shoulder. And
Absolutely.
then things just go wrong. Things just go wrong. They play cricket together. They are like one happy family in a neighbor, and everybody moving into everybody's house and playing games and can we talk about the how did you manage to write this without being a Kashmiri?
Oh.
I know you have given a long list of acknowledgement at the end, but yeah,
No, I think the
it's
key word
amazing. I
basically.
would have taken it as an autobiography.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
what?
I know. I have been. For me, the key word is basically empathy in that sense that uh, I just wanted to tell the story of people. For me, for example, the Trees of Thousand Apples is not a story of. It's not a story of politics or of place, or it's not a social commentary. For me, it's very simple. It's a story of some people, and it's a human story, and and that's where it has come from. So when I was in college, one of my very good friends was actually a Kashmiri Pandit. There was another good friend of mine who was a Kashmiri Muslim. Another when I was doing job, another good friend of mine was a Kashmiri Pandit. I stayed in Kashmir. Actually, I was working for some organization. I stayed in Kashmir for some time, and I met people there.
Okay.
Uh, you know, and I just have in usual regular conversations. I will talk to them about their lives, and to pundits about their past lives as well as current, about their relatives' lives, and to Muslims about their lives in Kashmir. When I was there, and it is just the story of those people I wanted to tell. And I did not want to preach anybody, philosophize or anything else like that. So once I started looking at this as story of people that I've met and that I wanted to understand, and I will talk to that, take it to the people. And then it just came natural to me, even though I'm not belonging to Kashmir. But human stories, human values, human emotion is everywhere the same. And you can be from anywhere, but a human being connects to another human being on a heart to heart level, and those emotions, those feelings are the same. And once we just have that empathy to understand each other, then it did not become a issue to tell this story. Then research takes over. But yeah, if you just feel it in your heart, then you can tell it basically.
Right. Sanchit, one question here. Since we are talking basically the Kashmir, I mean, as I was saying, Kashmir being the
Yeah.
flavor, Kashmir Pandit being the flavor of the season, the exodus of the Kashmiri Pandits being the flavor. Now,
Yeah.
this Kashmiri Pandit, that's I think the first reference point we have is Kalahan, right? If I'm right, because
Yeah.
he's the first of the Pandits who has been, registered. And
Yeah.
Kashmir is being known as the land of Kalahan. So
Yeah.
they always seem to have been under attack by different powers that have come and ruled Kashmir. Even to the point of right down to the time of Aurangzeb, when you wanted to get rid of them and they actually were the Kashmiri Pandits actually approached Guru Sahib Singh and that gave them. Why has there been a kind of a? It's when I was reading this in another book, in another memoir, where there's been a very detailed year about the Kashmiri Pandits. They seem to have been always on the the wrong end of the stick has been with them. So, but you have done a lot of research. So I thought I'll check with you as to what has been your feeling as to why the Pandits are always under attack.
Ah, See, history treats different people different ways. No, for example, when Paras or when Alexander or the Mongols or they came,
Yeah.
then
Hmm.
it was not just the Pandits who were kind of under attack. It was India kind of that was under attack. They would
Right.
attack Persia the same way, or Sindh the same way as they would attack Kashmir. Because and that was, you also have to understand, take things in context. That was also the way the world functioned in those days. So the Mongols did not want to attack, say, India. They wanted to attack Kazakhstan or they wanted to attack Europe. No, the Mongolian Empire was spread across across the Straits, so from the Europe to China. So that was the way the world functioned. Uh, the Brito-Frank Wars which lasted several hundred years. They were all about occupying territory. So people just the kings would keep fighting each other. The stories of Troy are all about fighting each other. So all these European stories. That was the time where people would kind of where you would attack and gain territory. That was the way of the world. Democracy, obviously, when it started coming in different countries, it kind of changed all of that. So,
Right.
so one thing is that it is not that a particular community was always being attacked. That is not a perception we should keep. It is just the way of the world that used to be there. Cut to this early in the 90s in Srinagar in Kashmir. That is where the point was where eventually to the Kashmiri Pandits this attack came, and that came because of uh, terrorists. That came because of elements that wanted to take charge of Kashmir. Not all the Kashmiri Muslims wanted that. Certain people, certain terrorists wanted that, and that incited everything that happened, and that led to the exodus. Now, the thing is, what it impacted. What it impacted was is what I try to say in the book. Is it impacted all communities or stakeholders of Kashmir in a major way. The Kashmiri Pandits, Kashmiri Muslims, and the people who had to go there, the army men, they can continue to suffer. So when something like this happens, it has a catastrophic effect on the whole area. So when we talk about Kashmiriyat, obviously, everybody talks about Kashmiriyat. What was Kashmiriyat is the bonhomie between the communities before that defined kind of time. And eventually it was that Kashmiri that came under attack. And that is kind of which I want to explore, I try to explore in the book. It is about people and it is about that Kashmiri that changed with time, is what basically it is.
Sanchit, there's one question I just wanted to throw over here before we go a little further into the book.
Yeah.
Whenever the community under attack has been since since the 80s, 1980s, it has been the Kashmiri Pandits. Are they the only Hindu body in Kashmir, or do you have other Hindus? You have Dalit Hindus. You also have Brahmin Hindus. I mean, though Pandits are Brahmins, I know they are Bhatta, so therefore they are Bhatts. So they come from that. The learned person is Bhatta. We also have a Bhatta in Bengali. They are Bhattacharyas. So basically they are Bhatta Acharya. That's how the Bhattacharyas happen. But coming back, they seem to be the only ones who have been taking the attack. I have not heard of other.
I don't think there are any
classes
other
of Hindu
communities as such.
other sects.
I don't think there are any other communities as such in my knowledge, at least. I don't think that is
Okay.
that is, yeah.
So it is basically the Hindus would be equivalent to the Kashmiri Pandits, as we are calling them, roughly. That's but now if that is what it is, then there has been this huge exodus. Now look at it's in one of the books. I think it's in one of the other books I was reading on Kashmir. There was this problem. So you come and most of them ran away and came to Jammu, because that is supposed to be a kind of a Hindu land. I mean, if I were to use that word. But over there again, obviously they had a very, very difficult time. There are people who who had to leave their home. Oh my God, it was absolutely atrocious, painful. But having said that, again, as it happens everywhere, initially though the people in Jammu, they accommodated them, but then they said, "Ye kahan se aa gaye? Ye to hamara." They are occupying our facilities, our resources. Ye le ja rahe hain. So there was also the poor people have had. एक तो वहां से उनको भगा दिया गया, एक यहाँ पे वो पहुंच गए तो ये बोले कि अच्छा कुछ दिन रहो पर ज्यादा दिन मत रहो, अभी आप लोग जाओ यहाँ से, because you're taking up our food and other things, and so many of them settled outside in Delhi and Lucknow. Okay, getting on from there, another point which I wanted to tell you about the book, which I liked. Your book starts with a slow rhythm. So it moves a little slow, almost like in a cinema where you can make out that the script writer or the director is trying to establish the characters and establish the environment, right?
Yeah.
And then it's from the second 1.5 chapter. The Of course, your first chapter itself is a puzzle that you have left purposely, which you have solved right at the end.
Yeah.
The ambassador car blasting of all places in the Bombay Pune highway. From so Kashmir, you're transported to Bombay Pune, and then again you go back to Kashmir and you spend the entire book there. Then you come to the last chapter and you said, oh, so that's very cinematically treated, I must say. I like that. And then you have gathered the momentum as it picks up, and then that's what all has happened. And there's another interesting thing that
Yeah.
I wanted to mention, was that when Safina goes to this the poetry reading or speech reading, in her school, that one
Yeah.
property you have given her is to sneeze. So much so that she sneezed
Yeah.
later. Even Achu happened later in General Chaudhary's house. I noticed that. But
Yeah.
what I liked was, that when she sneezed while she was on the podium,
Yeah.
you said that the microphone and the speakers also rattled. For a
Yeah.
minute, I realized that this is a great imagination, because if you really sneeze in front of a microphone,
Yeah.
this effect there'll be a leftover effect on the speakers also, that will keep tattering.
Yeah.
Okay, here is something that I have. I just let me point this out to you. I've marked it so that we don't take up much time in searching
Yeah.
for. This is the captain. The captain, the captain who is now
Yes.
organizing the terrorist, where Bilal has also joined in.
Yes.
And he says that someone once told me, reckons Bilal, that no one lives long in a war. Actually,
Yes.
nobody does. Somebody they keep koi aage, koi baad mein. And there's another statement. It says that Nehru and Jinnah did. The captain retorts, and then the answer is that they were not fighters; they were politicians.
Yeah.
Who? Jinnah and Nehru.
Yeah.
Jinnah and Nehru. And then there is this statement which he says that Gandhi, Bhagat Singh, Subhash Chandra Bose, Chandrasekhar Azad, uh, your Ashfaqullah Khan, they were actually the fighting terrorists. Now I was very,
Yeah.
I mean, the fighters, not the terrorists, the fighters. I was very surprised that Gandhi's name was included here as a fighter. I mean, Gandhi did fight, but not in the way Chandrasekhar Azad or Subhash Bose or Bhagat Singh or Ashfaqullah did. So that name, I mean, it struck me that what is Gandhi doing here? You're a man of peace. So आपने उसका नाम भी इनके साथ लगा दिया. तो
Yeah. See, it's about when we fight for one's rights, then that fight need not be violent, and that is also somewhere Bilal and Diwan are influenced. So
right,
Bilal tries to fight for his rights through violence, and he was wrong. Diwan
right,
always considered that I did not fight for my rights. But is that true? Diwan always feared that maybe I was a coward, I could not fight for Safina. But that is not true. Diwan also has fought. He may not have fought with guns, but he fought with his life. He fought for his mother, he fought for his whole life to find his identity, and he's fighting today for those friends, which he left behind. So see,
right.
the thing is, that's what the fight can be different. Fight is not about violence and non-violence. Fight is about when you stand for something, and
Yes.
that is where Safina's character comes in. Because if you see, there's a poetry that Safina reads, and it's a beautiful poetry that she
Hmm.
reads in the scene in which the loudspeaker rattles,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
microphone
yeah.
rattles, because
Yes, yes,
and she talks about fighting for her rights. She's standing for her rights, and that is what the character believes in.
yes.
And throughout the book, actually, that is the journey of the character. When she stands for her right, that what is the implication of that? This is what is the book all about. That when she
Right,
stands for what she goes through, when Bilal tries to, when Diwan tries to, when even Kamal tries to
right.
stand for what is right, how does his
Yes,
character change? What huge impact a small decision by a small soldier like Kamal brings in the lives of these people when he has the courage to eventually stand for what is right. So, yeah.
That is an amazing. In fact, I'm just reading out another place over here. This is where he says that uh, we live in a blessed land, Malikji, in Kalahan's paradise. That's what Kashmir was, and it's not that like right now. And if there is heaven on earth, it is in Kashmir. And then he goes on to say that our children will grow in this land to progress and prosper today, tomorrow, and always. I think what you have stated in these lines, Sanchit, is actually the vision statement of what
Yeah,
Kashmiriyat is all about. That I think is, if you loosely use the word Kashmiriyat, I think this is the vision statement that
absolutely.
today, tomorrow, and all children will grow in this land to prosper. So that is another, and of course there is another very bold statement which Malik Chacha makes
Yeah,
to Mr. Bhatt, says
yeah,
that this is a commitment, this is a promise of a Mussalman. I will take
yeah,
care of you, I will protect you. And
yeah,
unfortunately, it is his family who gets the Malik Saab's the Muslim who makes that Mussalman ka wada. He gets
yeah,
his family gets loses out as a collateral damage. Now that's
yeah.
extremely painful. But let's go on a little further over there. Um, I just wanted to come to this factor. Now let me go up a little more. One second. Let me go up a little more. Uh, in Kashmir, now let's what is happening in the book. Let's take it a little further.
Yeah,
You have the people who want to live in peace, and like
yeah,
here we have Bilal's family, Safina's family, and Diwan's
yeah,
family, all from different castes, different same locality, the Rustam colony or whatever. And
yeah,
then there is a military action on one point
yeah,
that spins off a lot of terrorist activity. You have
yes,
the captain, you have the commander, and then there is enough atrocity which is being done by the armed forces, as it is there in the book and also in other books, that
yeah,
actually leads these people out of anger. Now, take for instance what Bilal sees. Bilal had no reason to change until
yeah,
Rehana happened, until he found that Rehana was being molested during an interrogation.
yeah,
And that, I think, was the turning point where he just runs away from there and he goes to these people, and they automatically attract them and says that,
yeah,
let me take up the gun. Though he
yeah.
surrenders later, and as a result of which he gets into a double-edged problem because the terrorists don't trust him. He's a, what they used to call in Assam sulfas,
That is
modified
a story of lot
alphas.
of Kashmiri youth. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So is this what they live with every day? I'm
yeah.
not
People
even.
do.
I'm not. I'll come back to Major Chaudhary later. I'll come back to Major Chaudhary later. That is absolutely horrifying. But
They
this is
especially during those times, especially in the 90s, when the things were at
yeah,
peak, uh, 2000s. Because where do you go to? What is the future? Captain once asks. There is a scene in between Captain and Anwar in which Captain kind of says that Captain is also young. Captain doesn't look young. Captain has become this commander. And Bilal asks that why do
right.
you take this up? And he says that for a guy like me, uh, what is the other career option that I have? This kind of became a career option because there was no economically things became bad. And that is why I said, how Kashmiri Muslims also suffered after the 90s. Kashmiri Pandits suffered, yes, they also, but Muslims also suffered because there was no economic options that were left. Money was poor, money was not there, basic necessities not there. And what do the youth do? For the youth to go into regular jobs like people like us did was not really an option. Education was not there. The colleges were kind of shut. You could not come out to study so easy. So that became a career option. For someone like a captain, okay, what do? You see people wearing. You don't have money. You don't have shoes to wear. You don't have. Uh, you see people wearing Kamachi shoes. People wearing riding splendors, and you figure, oh, maybe that's a good life. And youth is impressionable. Youth is definitely impressionable. And but that also is the wrong thing to do because you don't understand what you have done and puts you in a double whammy. this kind of I tried to explore through the character of Bilal, and how he suffers through that double whammy, and he becomes a double agent in that. Again, the thing actually when you read through the characters' lenses, I have tried to give them every what was the reason that led them to do whatever they did. The truth
Right.
is, uh, for every Bilal, there is also an you know, for Bilal's actions, uh, Anwar's actions, sorry, we must not blame Anwar. That is the difference. That if we just understand that if there is an Anwar who is the problem, who has led to this problem, but that Anwar is not Bilal. The moment we paint both of them in the same color, that is where the problem lies.
Exactly.
Likewise, for every single job, there is also a
Yes, yes. For the Kamal, I think is incidentally, uh, uh, I found a very positive character in Kamal, though he gets shot in the end by the
yeah,
terrorists, sadly. But Kamal, I think, has been and he has played a very, very, very interestingly pivotal role. Now,
yeah,
before I come to that, here is another. See, like what you're saying, Tariq. See, on one hand, there are two. Ravi, who is from Diwan's family, he joins the army and he becomes a martyr.
yeah,
He dies in an explosion and whatever.
yeah, yeah,
On the other hand, Tariq,
yeah,
who was basically working as a porter,
yeah,
is again shot, fired, and shot for no reason. Rehana's body is never found. Probably, as Bilal says somewhere, that probably is lying somewhere under the Jhelum river, so that it's never found. And what came first, the chicken or the eggs? I mean, this whole Kashmir, uh, and in every single book, there is this catch-22 situation. Did the terrorism start and then the army came in, or did the army brew terrorism? So, in more ways than one, I think your book has been a very bold one, and it's
yeah.
full marks. So, will there never be, and this if this is the situation, then this is what is going to continue, which it's not a question of a political thing. It is the people at the end of the day. So whether you split Kashmir into Jammu and Srinagar and Leh, those are all administrative factors. But the thing is that the terrorists will remain and the army will remain. And if from our side, any army carries out the kind of atrocities they have done, let's say on Rehana. And now I'm coming to General Saab Chaudhary eating kebabs being served by Safina, and the molestation. It's not molestation, it was a rape, which Safina's raped in the end. That's been this is where will all this take us, Sanchit?
No, so again, for every general choice, there is a Kamal, and that is where what I want to say is Kamal.
Yes,
People like Kamal are the beacon of the book, and of there's so many people who would want to do the right thing, and as Kamal does the right thing, uh,
right.
and fights for Diwan and fights for Bilal and Safina. And that is what we need to understand. That in fact there is a scene in which there is a scene between Kamal and Bilal, in which Bilal is frustrated in what he has done and he doesn't know what is the way forward. And ask that
Right.
what will it make you a better person? Because if you do the wrong things, it will not make a better person. You never know what is the right or wrong side of the problem. And that is eventually that Bilal understand. Choose the right thing at the right point of time. That is what we need. Once you think of it as a people and look at people rather than not you know, there is always hope and future.
Yes, yes. What was the initial response to the book? This was published, I think, 2018. I mean, 2000
Yeah,
2017, 2018, right?
yeah,
So, what was the what was the initial response to this book? Because this was way before Kashmir Files.
yeah, yeah. No, it's very good. Everyone who has read it liked it and appreciated, especially the unbiased take that we talk about the story of Kashmiri Pandits or Muslims. So that is what it is, and that is the kind of appreciation that the book has received, and people have enjoyed it in terms of, as you said, that the way it unfolds, that riddle, that the writing and the pace and everything, and what it tries to say. And for me, it is like that. That okay, I don't. It's not about what a million people might read and say. Even if one person reads and understands what I'm trying to say, and it has an impact on his thinking, and he sees those people in a way, that I'm trying to show, then that's a victory.
Right. And now, to go a little further on this book, there is this one more point which I wanted to bring about. It's, I think, one second. Let me. I have made to take you on this book. I have made little notes, so that
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is that this is Bilal's confession. I'm reading the Bilal's confession. He says, "Don't you see?" He shouts and angry and frustrated. "Don't you see what I'm trying to say? I am the one who killed Chacha, though he did not." I mean, he's saying he's taking up the moral responsibility, saying, "I am
Yeah.
the one who killed Chacha. I am the one who drove you away from this paradise, turned Kashmir into a hell.
Yeah.
Ma died because of me. You lost
Yeah.
your hand because of me. I am the one who God should have punished me,
Yeah.
not Tariq." He's saying this in that he obviously think that Tariq, and really Tariq was not a guy who was involved into anything. He just seems to have been shot on cold-blooded, and it was a cold-blooded murder, if you
Yeah.
right. And so he says he has done it for Tariq, but at the same time he owns up and says that whatever has happened, I am also been a part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I mean it's your book. And as I was just saying in the beginning, that you, without being a Kashmiri Pandit, or without you being, and of course there is this one very funny thing about the word gussa,
Yeah.
which is misinterpreted as because everybody thinks gussa in Hindi is anger. So when he
Yeah.
says कि मेरे को गुस्सा आ रहा है, and the army guy says that गुस्सा आ रहा है, मतलब I'll give you one hit. He said, then somebody explained that gus actually means shit in the Kashmiri language. So he had probably
Also,
added that gussa to,
also Payun
yeah.
and
So that,
Ab, the second part, it comes, the way the water is called. So in
right,
Pandits and Kashmiri Muslims call it differently. One call it Payun, one call it Ab. I'm not
yeah,
pronouncing it correctly, so I apologize if I've not pronounced it correctly. So my friend told me these things, which kind of also adds to the layers to the story. So when Meera comes and she's Safina,
yeah,
she doesn't recognize her. She finds her suspicious.
exactly,
She finds out that, oh, she's not a pandit. So such things,
exactly.
yeah, lead to, because
Yeah,
it's very similar, but very,
the word gives away. And of
yeah.
course, there is this word kharku,
Oh yeah.
which Safina is referred to as kharku. Oh, what is kharku?
It's slang for a terrorist.
Is slang for a terrorist. So, which is why when they realize that Safina, and this is a very touching. There is a very touching thing over here, that when Divan's mother
Yeah.
suffers from that blood sugar problem, and she had said, "Ki, don't touch me, don't enter my puja room, don't enter my kitchen. Okay, fine, I know you since you were a child. You can stay with me. That's about it. You're your parent." But ultimately, it is Safina who actually has to administer the insulin
Yeah.
and at least keep her alive, and even take her to the hospital.
Yeah.
From which point of time Safina disappears. I mean,
Yeah.
as far as they search for him, and they don't get him. And
Yeah.
yes, why did they all end up in Bombay Pune highway? And mind you, in the Bombay Pune highway blast situation,
Yeah.
they were all together in
Yeah.
some form or the other. I mean, Diwan, who was being wrongly accused
Yeah.
by by our and I think there is some irony in the name that you have chosen is Inspector Imandar, right?
Yeah.
So it is Imandar who takes on does not very good imandari, but
Yeah.
he actually is going to Yarwada jail, from where he'll possibly be hanged or something like that.
Yeah.
And then suddenly this uh, in your scheme of things, if you will look at it cinematically, was this Bilal and Safina had planned to what do you call get him out of the get him out of the prison van by doing the blast, or it just happened out of coincidence?
No, no, that was their plan. So if we now go back to the first chapter and
Now
read
go
the
back to
first,
the
yeah, and read the first chapter again, and actually read the first initial few pages, then
right.
it will make more sense of what they're doing. What they're actually doing. Making those fuse bombs or Molotov cocktails,
Exactly.
and those things that they're doing. So Diwan is being taken to jail, to Yerwada, where he might be hanged,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Safina cannot let that happen because
No.
and she takes Bilal's help, you know. And so actually, if you go back to the conversation in the first uh, chapter between Bilal and Safina, in
Right.
which they are talking about the fact when they're reminiscing, they met after a long time, and Bilal, Safina says that after this you go away. This has been my war. This is my doing. You should not be involved in this. But Bilal knows, he doesn't say it, but we can see it. And if we read it again, Bilal knows that how naive she is. She feels that I am just going to let her take fault for this. She feels that I am just going to let her run away. This is not going to happen. He had already planned what he did in the end of the book, before coming.
Right.
She's the pure one. She's the innocent one, and I cannot let that be harmed. And Safina didn't know that, but we can see it in the first chapter that Bilal has already come with that thinking, which he finally executes towards the end of the book.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And as a matter of fact, I must tell you that I started with the one reason that led me to read the whole book was that I started with the first chapter, and
yeah,
then that curiosity started
yeah,
killing the cat. See,
yeah.
ये क्यों हो रहा है? And to know ये
Obviously,
क्यों हो रहा है, you obviously
that
have
is
to
the
read the
writer's
whole book.
skill.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's absolutely. I mean, I was looking at it in a cinematic manner. Uh,
yeah,
okay, another kind of thing, there's one thing very interesting about these three main characters. At times, you feel your heart goes out for Safina, and says she's an innocent kid. I mean, like, she is getting brutally raped by the army commander, and all sorts of things are happening, and she has lost her family. Koi nahi hai. And her parents were also collateral damages, in a big way. So why does she have to suffer? Then you think of Bilal, and you say your heart goes out for Bilal also, because at the end of the day, he is, and at the end of the day, he's the one who becomes a martyr, sort of a thing. And then you have Diwan, poor fellow. He was playing his cricket, and he was happily living a
yeah,
life. And then
yeah,
suddenly the whole thing gets upset, and that is, of course, that feeling is there for any Kashmiri Pandit.
yeah,
I must tell you one thing, Sanchit. You can call it ignorance or whatever. I moved to the Delhi NCR somewhere during '92,
yeah,
and from Kolkata. And believe me, the Kashmiri Pandit exodus somehow or the other was either underreported or it was not considered. So it was like, it was very, what shall I say? Uh, I was not even, I at least was not aware of what exactly is happening
yeah,
till I moved to Delhi, and that is when I started realizing that, I started hearing about the Kashmiri Pandits, because a lot of them
yeah,
were staying in a colony, and they said, "Ye Kashmir se aaye, ye Kashmir Pandit hain." And
yeah,
then one day, I had just joined the Rotary, and I had gone for a Rotary meeting where
yeah.
I found that, and they had invited, of all people, Jagmohan to come and make a speech.
Okay.
And there was one gentleman who had joined the meeting, and he
Yeah,
would constantly raise his hands and try to draw Mr. Jagmohan's attention. So
yeah,
I was wondering that this gentleman is not a member. Why is he here? Apparently,
yeah,
he had known somebody, one of the members. He came. He was asking him questions, saying that, "What have you done for us?"
yeah,
And I said, "Excuse me, because." And then somebody whispered and said that he has lost it. He's lost everything, Sujit. He's a Kashmiri Pandit.
yeah,
And he's, since Jagmohan was also the governor, not that he could, in fact, governor really, he also had his hands tied. He really
yeah,
couldn't do anything much. So that's what it is. That's how. So,
yeah.
Sanchit, what now? What now? What will happen to Diwan and Bilal?
I have been asked many times to write a sequel to that, but
Yeah,
I don't want to, because that is why it's to the reader's imagination. Diwan and Bilal are around us. We know Diwans and Bilals, and we now know them. My intention is to make the reader know Diwan and Bilal. We don't know them, as human beings, as real people who are actually around us. Bilal represents someone. Diwan represents
right.
someone. We know their story. And now we can decide. We can have that compassion, that empathy towards both of them, not one of them, but both of them, and and then look at them in a different light. And I think that is the intention, because if I give them shape in another story, then the reader's imagination goes away, and I don't want to do that. So yeah. So what happens to them is for the reader to decide. Yeah.
Yeah, what happens to them is for the reader to decide. I agree with you there. But
Yeah.
what about your other books coming up now? Okay, forget Kashmir. What next?
Yeah, so there is a book that has been in the works. It's a tale of magical realism. It's a grand book, one of my ambitious books. It has been completed, and yeah, hopefully, shortly we will see it out in the market as well. Meanwhile, I have been writing movies, so a couple of my movies are actually going to come this year,
Yeah,
next
tell
year.
us about your movies. Tell us about your movies, Sanchit. I think that is something that I'm really interested to know. I am sure,
Yeah.
as also is our audience who are here with us today. Um, so,
So,
what,
so the,
what,
yeah, so three of my movies are coming out shortly. One web series is coming out shortly. I can talk about only two of them because the others have not yet been announced.
when you say they are your movies, they are your stories and script?
Yes, yes, yes. I have written the
Yeah,
screenplay and dialogues.
right. Okay.
So, so one of them is titled Chhatri Wali. It has Rakul Preet Singh in the titular role, and it is produced by RSVP Movies. It will come out mostly this year. It has been shot
Mhm.
and everything. And the other is we are going to shoot this year. It is called Captain India, in which Hansal sir is directing it and Kartik Aryan plays the titular role. And this that is going to be shot this year around August September. So that is that. So maybe next year we will come out with that. And yeah, there are a couple more which again we are going to shoot this year, and we will announce soon. So since we have not announced it
Good.
yet, so I can't really talk about it.
So you have been keeping yourself busy, Sanchit. Huh? Like a lot of things on the films,
Yeah,
writing scripts, dialogues, books, and that
yeah,
magical reality that we're talking about. Well,
yeah,
that I think is that's the way to go, really. But how
yeah.
do you find yourself locating in? How do you find yourself relocating in Villa Parle from your Solan in the mountains? I suppose it's
Yeah, yeah. No, that's because of writing. I mean, I started with my corporate job here, but after the first book's release, and I wanted to move to screenwriting, then obviously Mumbai was the place, and yeah, so that is why in Mumbai. But yeah, I do miss the hills. I keep visiting them, but yeah, I do miss them from time to time. One
you're
should
lucky
always
because when you
dream
come to the
about
hills, you can go to your house.
yeah, one should always dream about the hills and live their reality in the city is what I say.
Yeah, that's a nice one. Dream about the life in hills and the reality is in the towns. Yes. So
Yeah, yeah,
that is what it is. So
yeah,
I think we have more or less covered this book and we have talked about Kashmir, we have talked about the Pandits. You
yeah,
and I think everybody in this subcontinent, everybody in India and everybody even in Kashmir,
yeah,
we all have to hope. There is that hope that for which we have to live, and that hope is that things will everybody will settle down, everybody will go back to their roots, and Kashmiri, as we have, as the vision statement as you have put it in your book over there, is revived. That's all that we can hope for. It is beyond politics. It's a question of the people who have really got to work it out. You and I
yeah.
have got to work it out.
Absolutely, and it is there. I mean, I think more and more people who see that, who see them as who see Kashmir as not just a piece of land, but as people. Then there is that hope, and I'm quite confident, quite positive, and yeah, yeah. I hope that happens soon.
Well, I think we will end on that note of hope. Always we must end with a note of hope because there is always a tomorrow. So tomorrow
Yes.
something good is going to happen to Kashmir. And I think all this thing that has happened about Kashmir will all, it will all spark people to say ki bas band karo. We have to get on and doing something. And Sanchit, this conversation, I think, as I said, we had used your book only as a kind of a an issue, but we have discussed a
Yeah.
lot of larger issues along with the book. And as I
Yeah.
said, that this book has really been. I mean, I would strongly suggest people to read this because you will get an wonderful job, as I said from the beginning. A man who is not a Pandit, who is not a Kashmiri, but out of his research, he has created a story as if he's sitting there in a Broadway hotel in Srinagar and writing this out. And it's really, you have gone into the lanes and by lanes. Even you have identified the sweet shops and toy shops and everything that you have there. So great work, Sanchit, and thank you very much on behalf of Kahaani Koncerti and Yogi Books to have come and shared your thoughts and had this chat show. This chat show to my audience will be up, I think, by tomorrow on our website and on our YouTube channel. So if you want to revisit this at some point of time, you can always do that. And we look forward to your two things from you. We are expecting, Sanchit. Please keep informing. One is the new book, and the other is the new films. And
Absolutely.
so read them in the house and see them in the house. And only when you are doing your poetry recitation at Prithvi Theatre the next time, tell us. If we are in Bombay, we will call you up and we will join you there. Right?
Absolutely.
And thank you, my
Absolutely.
audience. I hope you have enjoyed this show and you have participated in many ways in talking about getting the feel, the feel, the nerve, and the touch and feel of Kashmir. So
Yeah.
we will. And as far as Kahaani Koncerti is concerned, our next program, our next author chat is going to be on Tagore's birthday on the 9th of May. A book by Professor Shushanto Dattagupta. He will be in conversation with Professor Partho Ghosh, and it is on a book called Vishwabharati, A Vision Denied. So we are going to talk about how we have denied to carry through Tagore's vision, and we will discuss this on his birthday. That is the irony of it. So thank you very much, and look forward to seeing you again, Sanchit, and my
Yeah.
audience.
Same
Please
here.
visit our website at the same time. Bye bye. Take
Thank you
care.
very much.
Okay.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.